This is a code walkthrough for the example file PersonDataCorruption.java. This example shows a problem that can arise when we use mutators to update instance variables which are themselves internal objects of a different class type. So to demonstrate this problem, I'm going to need to do one thing. I'm going to need to work with an older version of the person class. So I'm going to pull up the previous snapshot, PersonPhase8.java, and I'm going to save that as our current person class. And I'm just going to save over whatever's there. And now, let me, as usual, compile this file, put a breakpoint on main, and we'll start single-stepping our way through and talking through this. And I'm going to just clear the output window there. So what we're doing here is we're setting up a default person object, and we can expand it here in the debugger. We've got all default values for everything, and in particular the birth date is the current date as of this recording, 11/3/2015. And now we're going to set up a couple of different objects, a CS12 date and a string. So we will set those up, and now we have these objects on hand as well. And the date is 11/17/2015. Then what we're going to do is we're going to use these two objects together with a person mutators to update the instance variables for birth date and first name using these two objects. So notice what happens here. I'm going to update the birth date, and so our instance variable is now also 11/17/2015, and our first name is now Fred. So this is our person object, and its first name and birth date are now the same as these two objects. And we can confirm that by calling the print method on our person object, and here's the first name change we made and the change to the birth date. And we're going to ignore for a moment the fact that this is a date out in the future. This is all just for purposes of illustration. So what we're going to do now in this client program, we're going to independently update the date and the name that we use to update the instance variable. And notice what happens to our internal instance variables in our person object. So this is the date and the name, and we're going to update the date to a different date, and notice what happens here. We've updated the date to 12/25, but the birth date, the internal private instance variable of our person, has also been updated without our knowledge or consent as well. But if we do the same thing with the name, if we update that name, our first name instance variable remains unchanged. And if we print out the current state of our person object, we'll see that the name has remained unchanged, but the birth date has changed, even though it wasn't commanded to do so. We changed it here on the outside without intending to change the instance variable for our person. So this change to this outside object has taken the internal instance variable for person for a ride and changed it as well. Completely unexpected result. And this violates encapsulation, and so we need to understand why this is happening and what to do about it. For now, I'm just going to leave that as a demonstration of a problem, and we'll see in the code walkthrough and code for PersonPhase9.java how to address this. This is just a demonstration of how it happens and what the problem is.